This here is probably one of the most important fossils that I am holding right now. And it's not necessarily important scientifically, but it's important because it left a massive impact on my life. I was just 7 years old in the second grade. And if I was on my best behavior, there was a teacher who had her own personal fossil collection. And I would go down there and I would look at some of the fossils that she had. She had things like fossilized ferns, she had things like crinoid stems, she had fossilized shells, but it was this fossil right here that captured my imagination. And this is a trilobite. This is a trilobite known as Halidorops. This comes from the Devonian rocks of Morocco. But when I saw this when I was 7 years old, it looked very alien like. I couldn't really wrap my mind around how interesting and how weird this thing looks. I never even seen creatures like this before. And so, as you can see, it has these eyes, it's got an exoskeleton, it's got genal spines. So, I recognized as a kid, I recognized things like fossilized ferns. They look very similar to they do living today. I could recognize things like shells. Like this right here, I couldn't really imagine what this creature looked like when it was alive. It was unlike anything I've ever seen before. Her name was Miss Davis. She was a fourth grade teacher, and she knew that I was really interested in things like dinosaurs. I had a curiosity and an interest in dinosaurs ever since I was 3 years old. But this was the first time when I was 7 years old. This was the first time that I actually got to touch and hold real fossils. I really got to see things like this. I really only got to read about fossils and learn about fossils through just watching documentaries on TV or just reading books. But during that experience when I was 7 years old, this was the first time that I actually really got to hold and look at real fossils like this. And this is the fossil right here that led me down the path of becoming a paleontologist. This thing right here was the thing that started it all for me. I was already interested in dinosaurs, but it was this experience that led me down a path of learning so much about the natural world and about geology and about paleontology. I met with Miss Davis, which was the name of the teacher. I met with her 2 decades later and invited her over to my house and looked at all and we looked at and we went and we looked at all the fossils that I have in the personal collection and wanted to really thank her for the experience that she gave me when I was a kid. And things like this led me down a path of going down and learning more and more about the history of our planet. And so if you have a teacher, if you have an educator, definitely reach out to them because it's people like that that will change your path and that will change the way you think about the world. You never know what an educator could do in order for you to go down and change your pathway. Maybe someday you'll go into science, just like I did. So when I met up with her, she gave me this fossil that I saw when I was just 7 years old. Pretty incredible. You never know what things like this can lead you.